Okay, so I would like to talk about churches, pastors, and what I feel that they neglect when people go to church. You know, they'll talk a lot about the spiritual side of being healthy, but they totally neglect the physical or the health aspect when it comes to being healthy. And I have a real problem with this. I think it's unacceptable, and I see a lot of people suffering in the church. And for many of those Christians who try to make an excuse and say, well, the most important thing is our soul and where we end up. It doesn't matter if we're sick. That's not important. It doesn't matter if we're healthy. It doesn't matter if we're trim. It doesn't matter if, we're obese and we have diabetes and we have heart disease and all these other things. That doesn't matter. Oh, really? Then let me educate you all by reading 3 John 1:2, which clearly states, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth," from the King James Bible. Clearly we see that it's God's will for us to be in good health, just as our soul is in good health. And that is God's will for each and every one of us, whether you're unsaved or saved. That's His will for all humans, for all creation. And you know what? Not a lot of people are being submissive to God's will. Even the majority of pastors today in the church are not being submissive to God's will, because they clearly demonstrate that they don't care. When I see pastors eating at Dunkin' Donuts, when I see them eating at McDonald's, when they're overweight, when they're fat, when they're sick, when they have diseases, how can they stand up and proclaim that I am any different than the rest of the world? When they're not, when they're eating the same foods as the rest of the world, when they're doing the same things as the rest of the world. How are they any different? How are they setting an example to the rest of the people out there? We're supposed to be Christians. We're supposed to be, the beacon of light, right? We're supposed to walk in Jesus' footsteps. We're supposed to be examples to others out there. And when we're eating at Dunkin' Donuts, when we're eating at McDonald's, and when we're eating animals left and right from these big factory farms, how can we even call ourselves Christians and say that we're in submissive will to God's will, when we clearly are demonstrating that we are not? So 3 John 1:2, God clearly states that, "Beloved, I wish that all of you may prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." And so many times, pastors and other Christians will put so much emphasis on the soul, but totally neglect the physical side of health. And it's sad, because a lot of Christians are coming into the church. A lot of people are coming into the church, and they want to get help. And they might have a lot of diseases. Many of them do. Many of them have a lot of physical ailments. But the pastor doesn't talk about those things. He doesn't address the diet. He doesn't address about eating healthy. He doesn't address or bring up the verses that eating healthy. Something to think about.